Okay, it's a bit dark here, isn't it? There's no real light in the car here. And of course, being a film, it's back. Unlike the rest of Facebook. So I was thinking, you're aware, aren't you, that there is an opera called Nixon in China, and it seems when something needs to be punctuated a bit bigger so that people can't forget, Freemasons draw up an opera or Prière de Zion. You do know also, do you not, that Sir Isaac Newton, who they always talk about being Christian, it's more complicated than that, because he was the first Prière de Zion chap. And then Sir Christopher Wren carried on. I think it was that way around. And Sir Isaac Newton's meant to have paid money in 1717. You know, they had 300 years celebration, didn't they? With Rick Wakeman was the commentator. And he's meant to have organised that, but he kept in the shadows. He was an extremely wealthy man by that time, and he used his lab assistant. Well, so is the BBC play, and sounds plausible to me. So his lab assistant organised the conspiratorial nature of Freemasonry, and Freemasonry changed from 1717. There have always been Freemasons because they were designing cathedrals. Now, this was 1717. And then 1776, Weishaupt. I like the way Americans say it. I think they say Weishaupt, or something like that. So they had that in 1776, same year as independence of America, which isn't. So I'm just trying to tell you that Prière de Zion has been in the background, and Victor Hugo was head of it, Jean Cocteau was head of it, Claude Debussy was head of it, you know, each in their own turn. I think Messiaen was. And so this is part of the reason we have these composers. These composers were very good, but there's been tons of good composers. They only discovered Bach through Mendelssohn 100 years later. Imagine that. You'd have thought, he was always famous. No. So the people that are very well known are people who have been, like Mozart, Freemasons, or connecting with brotherhoods, doing the jobs or service for the brotherhoods. So to reward them, or it's probably part of the agreement, they become famous. So anyway, the fact that there is an opera, Nixon in China, to celebrate the Tea Party that Mao, his wife, Nixon and Kissinger had, at which they basically put off the rise of China to taking over everything for 50 years, and they managed to persuade Mao that instead of sort of lining up his army and swooping down in Europe, they'd do it this way instead, and he acquiesced. He'd been saving for 20 years. So that's the opera that flags up this very important thing. You see, Freemasons like being in charge, and they like being in the background too, but they flag things up to aggrandize themselves, say, well, look what we did. Not least Billy Joel singing "We Didn't Start the Fire." Every single one of those people, well, so it says in the online collection of photos with Billy Joel's song. So they were all Freemasons. Every single one of them, even Marilyn Monroe. They were all Freemasons. We didn't start the fire. And so perhaps we should have a flat earth opera to celebrate how clever Freemasons have been at convincing the entire earth, and Jesuits of course, back from 500 years ago, that everything's random, that God isn't this big person who's intimately wanting to have relations with this earth, and instead everything's random. Satan likes it that way. He likes fuzziness, so he can install his throne and his rulership, his education, his propaganda in the space. Literally in space. NASA means deception. Hantavirus, Hanta means deception. This is in Hebrew. So, let's say we're constructing this opera. How should we do it? Should we have the Norfolk Levels experiment as the first movement? So we have nice Norfolk noises of birds and, countryside and canal sounds and things like that. A nice atmospheric Norfolk. Sort of something that Benjamin Britten might have written. What should we have next? What should be the second movement? Suez Canal? The fact that it's completely flat. And it was built without any curvature in mind. There's no need for curvature because it doesn't exist. So perhaps the Suez Canal can be movement 2. What should we have? Should we have this space race and NASA, and the fact that NASA, the people who started NASA, were all witches. Now what's that got to do with science? They're all witches. Michael Aquino too. And so then we got this space race where Stanley Kubrick did the filming because he had his 2001 set ready at the time, so they asked him if he wouldn't mind filming it, and everyone would believe it. And he confessed to that. He's online confessing to that at the end of his life to a commentator. What else? What should we have in the third movement? Should we have Patrick Moore? So Patrick Moore must surely. Your phone is too hot. Let it cool down again. It's not too hot at all. That's a load of rubbish. Since Samsung have been updating, what on earth have they put in my phone? So it's got heat it up at will and then produce a heating message. It's not. It's just in my hand. That's all. So Patrick Moore can be kind of like an Einstein-y figure with scruffy hair, scientist's hair. And he plays vibraphone, and he lived in Selsey, and the crater on the moon was named after him. But he'll have been a Freemason agent. He would be playing the part of this guy, this unlikely story of a man who everyone looks to all over the world, when it's really just flat Earth. I reckon. What do you think? I don't like the idea either. I was brought up on the space race. I find this enormously discouraging. But the Bible says about flat Earth. And people try and say that it's about a round Earth and a globe. Where are you getting that? Show me the verse. And it says the earth is founded upon the waters. And I think Mahatma Gaddafi proved that with his deep wells, producing the purest water from deep, deep, deep down, that the three-letter agencies in England and America shut down because they didn't want that truth coming out. Should we have a fifth movement? What kind of... yeah, so Flat Earth, the opera.
In 2 miles, take the A244 exit towards Esher, Leatherhead.
Yeah, I'm nearly there, so... But it's mad, isn't it? It is mad. Maybe the fifth movement can be all the aircraft pilots more sneakily saying they have never seen curvature in their life as they've been, flying for 40 years. And NASA has put that in their documents, all the training documents, that it is assumed that everything is horizontal. And, for example, when they're firing artillery from aeroplanes, it is assumed that it is a flat Earth. I'm going to end there.